Hello and welcome to VOD of Consciousness with Sientir. I am Sientir, and you can support me at patreon.com/Sientir. And this is a really cool view of the mountains. Also, these are really pretty, I think. I like the pink. Obviously, there's only so many polygons they put into them, but that's neither here nor there. You'll notice that I've changed up my build. I'm trying something. Probably what I'm trying to do is run out of energy, but I'm trying an apply poison spear build for no good reason other than it sounds interesting. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, what we want to do today is we want to talk to Olaf Olafson. And he says, "Allies? Surely you jest. But since Jorah speaks well of you, I will give you a chance. Meet with me outside the Shrine of the Raven Spirit, and we will discuss matters further." Discuss is always a suspicious phrase like that. Apparently it's somewhere in Varajar Fells. So let us go that direction and see what we see. Aha, Devona's chatting with Talon Silverwing. He says, "Hail, friend. I am glad to have you by my side up here. The Norn are colder than snow." Talon says, "My people tell tales of the day when we will be free, when our lands will be revealed by a heavenly star and rise. When that day comes, human only then will our races live in peace." The Tengu and humans do not get along, generally speaking. There are some that are friendly, like Talon Silverwing's tribe. But yeah, eventually they do get their domain of winds and all of that business. I think when we complete this, we will get... let's see where we're going. Okay, we're kind of going up and around. Okay. I believe when we complete these lines, we'll get Jorah as a hero that will join us. She'll be able to be added to our hero roster. I don't think she is already. I believe she is not. It's been a while, though. And I have not looked, but I don't recall seeing her there. Go around this way, because why not? And that's how paragons apply poison. Yes. I will apply poison and set you on fire. Haha. The thing that's cool about that is if it works the way that I hope it does, I should be able to apply poison to immediately get the effects of my skills that care about conditions off, which is kind of nice. I should be able to do this too, which will pulse healing in the area around me. Healing Spring is one of those ranger skills that's kind of questionable in how good it actually is, though. So I don't know. I don't know if it was good to be using or not. I'm going to get a lot of... It's not fleshy, so it's immune to poison while I have my apply poison up. It's not worth applying it, of course, with... Okay, some of these enemies are fleshy because they're bleeding. Enemies can't be poisoned, bled, or diseased if they aren't fleshy, which I think is a really interesting detail. But, of course... Yeah, one of the things you should do if you're using apply poison is you should actually spread your attacks around to try to keep poison up on as many enemies as you can, rather than concentrating too much on one enemy. By the way, that's just like a general tip if you ever run apply poison yourself. Obviously, I'm not renewing it right now because these enemies are pretty close to dead. We can head down that way, and in fact, someday I'll need to. Is that guy dazed? Yeah, clearly is. But spreading the poison around is very, very useful. But yeah, I do like that there's a distinction of like, well, this enemy's not fleshy. It's like, it's a skeleton or whatever. Therefore, these conditions can't be applied to it. I think that's kind of a neat detail. Yeah, it looks like I need to make sure I do get another condition on them ahead of time. Yep, we've got a bunch more dudes coming. Yeah, healing spring's probably not worth it, but that's okay. It was an experiment. And from that standpoint, I don't mind having tried it. I don't know, I'll use it here. Heal the minions some. Maybe Elias if he's around. Ooh, some gold. Okay, I need to continue up this way. Yep, around the bend here. Go talk at this Old Rock Granor. And see what he has to say. I imagine he has to say, fight me. It's pretty typical. The Norn generally use the martial professions of... need just one more to be able to qualify for his thing, but I'm not going to randomly run off to fight stuff. Olrun Olafdottir is Olaf Olafson's daughter, one might expect. Okay, so we have a big brawl here, so I'm going to wait. Well, here's a bit of advice. Never interrupt two Norn in discussion. An errant backhand comment might knock you right off your feet. If you are in need of allies, then perhaps the wisdom of Raven can help you. Are you ready to discuss? I'm always ready to talk. Why do I get a creepy feeling every time you say discuss? So he's going to attempt to become bear, and we're just going to fight a bunch of Norn to make sure that we're qualified or something. I forget the logic. But, I mean, they're Norn, right? They're big and beefy. And ill-equipped for lots of poison, apparently. By Raven's wings, what sort of beasts are these? Oh, that's right. Oh, this is going to take a long time, isn't it? God, are destroyers fleshy? I freaking don't remember. Yes, good. That means my bar is not entirely disqualified. I just use Days on a Warrior. Don't I feel silly? He finds them to be good hunting, as I recall. Because he's strange. They are immune to burning, though, because they are made of fire. So there's that. I mean, it makes sense. I do like it when restrictions like that make sense, because they also provide an additional challenge. Might be another long episode.
What were those things?
They're called destroyers. They're the threat we have warned you about.
This is the North. Threats are an everyday part of life here.
I'm afraid this is more than just a passing threat.
What do you mean, Vec?
Given their numbers, I think there's an active gate nearby, one that links back to the central transfer chamber.
Which has been captured by the destroyers.
Precisely.
Which means all the Norn lands will be overrun. Unless we do something. Bah! They show up at my doorstep, I'll greet them with an axe.
My friends mean to say that these destroyers make for a challenging hunt.
A hunt? So why didn't they say so? Come, let's take the fight to them then.
Norn psychology, everyone. Norn psychology. Okay. So Olaf here will talk to us. He'll say, "More wait in the cave. Let's take the fight to them. My daughter will stand guard here. The rest of you should speak to me when you are ready to enter the shrine. These destroyers had better be worth the trouble." Oh, I got enough experience for a point there. I'm ready to join in the Raven Shrine. Can't do that until I finish activating my healing spring, apparently. So you're ready to hunt down these destroyers? I hope they live up to their vicious reputation. Let me at them. Yes. And now we are in here. A gate too far. And this is a dungeon. Sometimes the missions are dungeons. My build is going to be utter garbage in here, unfortunately. Or at least the apply poison part of it, which I'm going to promptly ignore, because these stalactites and other things in here are made of ice and are therefore immune to poison because they are not fleshy. You also, as an aside, have to keep an eye out for orange dye. What was I gonna say? You have to keep an eye out for something. Whatever. If I remember, I will state it, and if not, then I won't. Such is life. I guess we need to go kind of that direction. They're not like... Oh, I guess I'm not going that direction. The dungeons are interesting. They were something that they tried to add to have more late-game content type stuff. Or like mid-game content? I don't know. I think they're an interesting idea. Spirit of Frozen Soil is a bit dangerous in that it prevents resurrection skills from being used. These guys use a bunch of stuff, though. Equinox was actually... Was that part of the farm build? I think that was part of a farm build at one point in time. No, not Equinox. There's another one. Famine, maybe? But there's an elite ranger spirit that would cause damage to be taken whenever something reached no energy. Whenever something ran out of energy, it'd take a spike of damage. And that was abused in a farm. Oh, I remember what it was. Yeah, you didn't use it yourself. So those things are symmetrical. Nature rituals are symmetrical, so they affect everyone. So when you bring them, you're building around them. That's just how it works. Okay. Oh, okay. Olaf says, the Shrine of the Raven Spirit imbues you with its blessing. This magic will help you in your hunt. Invoke the power and Raven shall protect you. Which is fine, I suppose. I think we get attacked by destroyers. Watch your step. That destroyer tremor is shaking the place apart. Destroyers are coming out of the ground. Raven, protect us all. Oh, I should not be standing here. But anyway, I got distracted by story. Where was my brain? This happens. I mean, it's going to happen in something like this. That thing dazed. Anyway. Another sacred place to the Norn people. I think we're going to get attacked by some more? Yeah. Yeah, no soul leech for you. Orderers are interesting. Oh, there's something that I was talking about, and I felt like it was an interesting train of thought, but it got completely derailed by plot. Ooh, destroyer cores. Those are nice to have. I do like a lot of the Paragon animations. Oh well, I wish I could remember what it was that I was discussing, but... let's see. If you become hexed or enchanted, but not while you are in states. Good to know. Right, immune to burning. I don't know. I know I was talking about something, and with how stuff worked. Destroyer of Bones have hammers. Makes sense, I suppose. Using useless skills. By the Great North Wind, that was a battle. Thank you for your help. Raven Shrine is now secure. And then we come here, and we can get ourselves Raven's Blessing. Gives us a bunch of skills. For 13 seconds, you can't be knocked down. Remove blindness from allies. Earshot. Cause blindness to nearby foes. Strike target foe and all adjacent foes, and target touched foe begins bleeding and crippled for... Okay, so now we just need to follow Destroyer Tremors. It's not a skill that you spam like the other ones. Raven is relatively weak. Man, my instinct is to just spam that for skill, but it's just not That's not what you do. You spam this skill. And that's what you do. You don't have health regen, though, as with Raven. So, there's that downside. I'm not sure if it's actually better than just, like, normally what I'm doing. Oh, pick up that gold, though. So now we just need to destroy, follow the trail of destroyer tremors. Whenever they use that tremor skill, it knocks everyone down for a very long period of time and is very obnoxious. Ooh, another destroyer core. I forget if I'm still collecting those or not. I know I was. You can get some special stuff that way. Let's just revert back. That's the first one of those that I've had end, but it didn't have a way to help me kind of keep it up. Apparently that only works if you're in Raven form. Whatever. It's just not that important. Raven Blessing. Oh yeah, the dungeons. I was talking about how they're an interesting idea. I remember that. Like, multiple layers and stuff. I don't know. More destroyers here to go through. Oh, these guys have been partially destroyed by ice imps. So there's that. They deserve it. Ice imps are strong. What's going on? Why am I not building adrenaline? I don't know. That was kind of weird. Aha! Somehow the destroyer tremors can be knocked down, even though that doesn't make any sense. It's like, don't trip would be better, probably. Yeah, I got that guy dazed, not doing anything now. We just need to follow these guys up and around, and they'll eventually lead us to the next floor. Apparently I decided I wanted to be in Raven Blessing. Sure. Ooh. Points. Is that on long enough to prevent the next... Nope. It's not. Not in time. That's okay. Yeah, Raven is definitely the weakest one of these. I wish that the Norn forms were better in Guild Wars 2. I think that'd be really cool. But they're pretty weak, fortunately. But you can imagine, like, a group of 8 players descending on these guys with Raven Swoop and dealing 90 damage times 8 for ludicrous quantities of damage. So right up here, this is the last set of destroyers. Clear them out, and then we'll go down a floor. And then we can get Raven Blessing again if we want to from Olaf on the next floor, if I remember the game correctly. I should probably not be standing in a spot that's setting me on fire all the time. Dirks are a very simple dagger skin. Very pointy. Very pointy. Ah, yes. A place filled with Sientir, because that's perfect. If we talk to him, again, we can get it. Might as well. I'm not going to use it right away, I don't think. Oh, yeah, I will. Because we're going to get more tremors and stuff popping up. The fact that they only have so many skills is kind of annoying. I kind of wish there was an elite skill that you could get from the dwarf and stuff to just like enter boxing mode, but that would be really overpowered. That would be the single best thing you could do in the entire game. Because you're just in such a ludicrously overpowered state when you're dwarf and boxing. I forget exactly where we need to go. There's a bunch of the maps, by the way, that have like... They basically made a bunch of several large sprawling dungeon maps and then used different obstacles to kind of reconfigure the arrangement of them. So it means that this dungeon, for instance, like there's other dungeons that are going to look like this and have different parts, but they basically reuse the same map assets, and we're kind of efficient. Oh, I was talking about a farming build. That's what I was talking about. Sorry, I just saw him use one of the skills of it. So there's some enemies that use I forget the name of it, but like famine or whatever. They use that spirit. Yes, we know that they don't have flesh. They use that spirit. And so what you would do is you would put on... it was specifically what was used at the time actually was a 600 build where you'd get to 600 health and have like no armor. So you'd be using like the weakest armor you could get. And that lack of armor would be used to make sure that you're guaranteed taking 60 damage, and then you'd have 600 HP. So that way you could use Protective Spirit to limit the damage you take to 60, and then you'd use Spirit Bond. So Protective Spirit would limit you to 10% of your max HP. So you'd take 60 damage. And then you do Spirit Bond, which for a period of time, if you take more than 50 damage, you get healed. So you could, basically, everything would heal you for 60 damage, and you get healed for like 80 or whatever. Now, this you might notice says the next 10 attacks or spells. That limit did not originally exist. So you'd go in there with like a Mesmer Monk or a Monk Mesmer. You could use either one. And you'd use Sympathetic Visage on yourself. And there's another one as well that's like Ancestor something or another. And you'd use these so that way whenever nearby enemies attack you, they lose like an energy or 3 energy or whatever, and all adrenaline. And that would continuously and repeatedly trigger the skill or the spirit that they themselves placed that would cause them to take loads of damage whenever they hit you. And you would also effectively be... immune to damage because of the way the healing stuff worked. So it was a very effective farm for quite a while that you could do with some shuriken just outside Harvest Temple. They nerfed it by nerfing some of the skills and stuff that players were using to really abuse things. It was very, very strong for a time, though, and it was a very effective farm. So... I think it's always interesting when that sort of stuff happens. I don't know what I think about them saying, oh, this is too powerful and we can't let players do this. It's too efficient. On the one hand, I understand it. On the other hand, like, too much effort done to stop farms feels... I don't know. Like, it's trying to preserve the prestige of stuff that takes a lot of time to get, but... There was an old farm, actually out in the Crystal Desert, where you would farm griffins, and you just get loads of griffins on you, loads and loads of them, and you'd use some warrior skills and stuff to make yourself have block chances and cause, like, whenever they attacked you, there'd be like AoE damage, and it was very powerful. A very effective farm, and that was like the first major farm in the game that like people would repeatedly do. I remember using similar builds. It would be on warrior, but I remember using similar builds at one point in time to also farm some other enemies in the Crystal Desert. But that was like a major farm, and they decided that they did not want that to continue. So they actually wrote up some lore and stuff. They did some things to... there's the gate that we're looking for. They did some things to... or they basically changed all of the enemy spawns to be stuff that you couldn't easily farm. And they added new boss and stuff, and they added lore about how the scarabs that came there came to feast on all of the griffin flesh from all of the dead griffins from all of the player farming, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, we have some more lore for this mission going on, which is saying, there it is, the gate, and it's overrun by destroyers. We need to wreck that gate. We saw Vivek do it at the Boreal Station. Keep those destroyers off us. We'll shatter this gate in no time. So we have to just kind of like fight our way through a bunch of destroyers here. It's not too bad. Destroyers aren't too terribly dangerous. Not yet, anyway. I mean, they're not cakewalks either, don't get me wrong. This is a really interesting preparation because it applies to all physical attacks. So you can use it with like daggers and other things, which is really interesting. Just as kind of an aside about that skill. But yeah, I think it's really interesting that they're like, okay, we're going to stop this farm and by changing the spawns entirely, and we're going to write lore about how there was so many griffin, like so much griffin blood in the sun and all that sort of stuff, and it attracted all of these scarabs to feast on the carcasses of these griffins that had been farmed by the players effectively. That was a very long time ago. That's your piece of Guild Wars history, I guess, for the day. The historical griffin farm. I don't think this... Is this gate? No, I don't think the gate... Yeah, the gate is... not... It's not something that can... yeah. The Cicerone Undergate doesn't have flesh. Don't be preposterous. We just need to take this gate out. I can cripple it, but I can't bleed it. It looks like there's some more destroyers popping up, but whatever. Not a whole lot to say at this point, just kind of waiting for this thing to die. There we go.
Was a battle worth fighting. These destroyers are worthwhile foes.
He seems happy.
A Norn only does what a Norn chooses to do. Pity a dwarf does not quite understand that.
So, my friend, will you gather your forces together to fight the destroyers? I will gladly tell others what wonderful prey they are. But will you gather an army? Norn have no need of armies. We are Norn. Great dwarf, give me strength.
Olaf, it was a good hunt. My friend wants to hunt more, but he is not Norn. He needs more people to help.
Is that all? I know your king, little dwarf. I can send a message to him. Will that do? Yes, that will. I will send a message to Jealous Ironhammer. I will tell him to meet you near the human encampment, near your Eye of the North. It will take some time. I don't know what to say.
I do. Thank you, Olaf, seventh son of Olaf. You have done us a great favor. You are welcome to hunt destroyers anytime.
Just try and stop me. Off you go.
Whew. Okay. And that concludes that. So at this point, we need to go see Jealous Ironhammer for a reward. As you can see, Olaf Olafson here has a quest.
Never.
The Great Norn Ailmoot, which is a solo quest. So there's a couple of quests, like I was wanting to advance that to get some quests. But anyway, we are aggressively at time, so I'm going to go ahead and... Whoa, zoom into my character very closely there so I can't see the wave. I'm going to go ahead and bring this episode to a close. So until next time, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.